of the freeway. Whereas if you did some kind of west cutoff, it would be wise. All right, that's it. So I'm hoping that somebody will do something. Thank you.
So I can share with you that there has been conversation at one time about creating a beltway that would circle the entire Spokane region. And I think it was actually Francis in 291 that would take you out to 9 Mile, then down to the West Plains, and then I think Hangman over to 27, then back up to I-90 and stuff. So it's been on the radar for a lot of folks for a long time, but it will probably take a long time for us to get there. I mean, the north-south corridor started in 1949, and so, you know, we do things well, we don't do them fast and stuff. So, you know, it's been a bit of a challenge, but I do appreciate the atlases that you left with us. That's kind of my Bible when I'm on the road traveling and stuff, and so it's a very, very handy document and stuff. So appreciate your comments.
One of the things that is very obvious to me is that millions of dollars would be saved by identifying an area where it was going to go.
Right.
And you literally could, you know, jog around buildings and whatever, and whereas in the future, people are going to build, and it's just happening, and it's going to happen. And this area, whether you know it or not, is going to grow very fast, and partly because it's really fork seasons, and it's really is a nice area. And the heat, if there is global warming or climate change or whatever, it's certainly going to fill this area up fast. Okay. And it's filling up right now.
I appreciate your comments. Thank you for joining us tonight. Did you have any questions, Mr. Josh?
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for the information you left at the offices as well.
So the next item on our agenda tonight is a presentation from Mayor Condon. And I think we're going to get a version of the State of the City address and stuff. So Mayor Condon. Or Mr. Coddington.
Well, good evening, and thank you for having me here, Commissioners. And I do just want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak to you and those that watch your programming. We are going to do a small condensed version of the State of the City because I want to really focus on the areas in so many that we work on together in collaboration. Let's face it, as I look over my shoulder here and see your vision statement of a livable Spokane County where people choose to live, work, and play, I couldn't think of a more aligned vision than that we have at the city, being the city of choice, about being safer, smarter, and healthier. Quite implicitly in line as we build, and as your colleague, Commissioner O'Quinn, always says, building the city of choice, which is fully and entirely in the county of choice, and I couldn't agree more. But let me spend a few moments this evening going through what you have in front of you is our state of the city, and more importantly, like you did just last week, Commissioner French, about your presentation of the state of the county and designing the future. And that's what tonight really should be about, is of what is the strategic plan that the city has put together as a joint strategic plan, the first time ever in city history of recent of both the mayor and the executive branch and the legislative branch working together. But before we do that, if we could, just for a moment look and take pause about the major accomplishments, and quite frankly, so many of them have to do with the work that we've been working together on. And first and foremost, what makes us the safest city of our size or the safest region of our size? As you see there, one of the first things that comes to mind 5 years ago, we remember where we were. We remember as a community we were grappling with a very difficult situation with our police department, and so we invited the Department of Justice into Spokane. Second city in the country to do this, but it was based actually on one of the first and actually the only one I've heard of in the country that had a citizens panel, the Citizens Use of Force Commission, where that citizen commission put together 32 recommendations for us to follow as a city to address the trust and legitimacy of our police department. We then invited the Department of Justice in, second city in the country, to do collaborative reform. They have been with us over the last 4 years and will be very shortly coming to look at a final report of those 42 recommendations, which has led us to the largest police department in the state with body cameras, the largest and perhaps only police department in the state that has done 40 hours of critical incident training for all of our police officers, and the results are quite astounding. Our use of force is down double digits. Our crime rate is going down as we made major investments in police. We are now up some 29 officers from 5 years ago, hovering right around 300, and usually slightly above that, but an effective force of 300. At the same time as engaging the next generation in now really acclaimed programs in the Youth Police Initiative that is in our high schools with a week-long curriculum of building trust with our vulnerable population of kids, and then during the summer, the Police Activities League, which really uses both sports and other activities to build trust amongst our kids and break that cycle of poverty and other issues. You also, as we look at being the safest city, look at our fire service and our emergency medical service. We're one of the first in the country to roll out the alternative response units. Those are the smaller vehicles going to the majority of our calls being medical, and the majority of our medical calls, which are actually at about 80+% of our calls, 67% of those are non-emergency. And so we're leading the country in using these smaller vehicles to go out and respond to non-emergency calls. Very exciting, just last week, the private sector is stepping up, the insurance companies, the nonprofits, about a new program called Ride to Share, where if someone does call 911, it's determined while they're at their home or where they called for that service that it is not a critical emergency that needs to go to an emergency room. We offer them the ability to do the Ride to Share program where they go to an urgent care clinic, and then even subsequently, as one of the clients said, was able to go to the drugstore to pick up the prescription that was prescribed for that person, alleviating huge costs on our system, clogging up our ERs, and moving on. But the one I also want to just touch on is the amazing work that the county and the city are doing together, and actually with all of our regional partners, and really a collaborative that started some 4 years ago with the Criminal Justice Commission. 3 citizens with amazing backgrounds, federal prosecutor, a public defender, and one of our retired judges that came together to give us the blueprint for reform, now being recognized by the MacArthur Foundation in their Safety and Justice Grant, giving us well over $1 million. You commented on it, rightly so, Commissioner, last week, of the work we're doing and the smarter things we're doing with smart justice, really reducing and looking at reducing recidivism, making sure that we have jail space for the most hardened criminals, but then also making sure that both the costs and the recidivism are going down or not at the trajectory that they were. Let me for a moment just spend a couple minutes on Smarter. We're very excited here at the beginning of the year. We launched the third iteration, or the third piece of our My Spokane initiative, My Spokane 311. Really, which was the critical piece of really our one click, one call, one visit motto, which is we, a couple of years ago, moved all of our public and customer service functions down to our first floor. Sound familiar with what you're doing at the county courthouse? We moved that down to our first floor, a major revamp of our website so that and now the final piece is 311, which right now is, we are here tonight addressing the issues that you are and us as a city with flooding, that the 311 system is there for non-critical calls as they take those calls. And that is so critical because what we do on a daily basis, we can also activate during these times of emergency. The other, of course, is we launched a single stream curbside recycling a few years ago. Great ways of smarter ways of doing business, partnering with the private sector and the Smart Center, and so many other things. The other, as we see happening in our downtown, is the integration of our street and utility work and our park improvements and our linked initiative of seeing these things coming together and really being able to deal with those things, even on a smarter way of our financing. You've done the same thing and taken advantage of the reduced rates that people were, or that we were paying on our bonds, but also we established a public safety plan for our capital, both police and fire, of using our 1% a year and allocating that to both police and fire capital. Let me finish just for a moment, and this is a new one this year, and that is a healthier Spokane. I truly believe, as your motto says, people like to live, work, and play. A lot of that has to do amongst the amazing things you saw in the video, whether that be the 3-on-3 basketball tournament that is world-renowned, the largest road race, and so many other things. The healthier is so critical. And so as you see that, it really has many things about the health, the financial health of our median household income, up 11%. A great thing that's happening within the city, and really as we look regionally, we need to continue to focus on the urban center of the region, because for too many years we had seen the opposite. We had seen a decrease in median household income in the core of the city and it rising outside the area, and we need to grow together. Let me also say that it was exciting, and as this April approaches in the 4th year of Spokane Gives, that we received the National Service Award for an amazing program where our citizens engage in giving back to their fellow citizens, something that is really countywide, a partnership with the United Way of Spokane County and all of the municipalities. To think that we have given over 170,000 hours of service by 34,000 citizens in our county on the Spokane Gives initiative, and I do invite so many of our listeners and watchers tonight to participate in Spokane Gives and go to volunteerspokane.org to see the opportunities to give back in National Service Month, which is this coming April. So with that, let me have you open up the presentation that you have in front of you by one more. And as you can see on the far left of the brochures that are in front of you, one vision, one plan, one voice. All of the elected officials, both the City Council and myself, have committed to working together on a strategic plan that brings us a safer, smarter, healthier Spokane. It is broken into 4 different strategic initiatives that you see there before you. I will start up in the far left, Safe, Healthy, and Compassionate Community Initiative. This is so critical because as we talk about public safety, you can't have it without the discussion of the health of our community. As we talk about responding to non-emergency calls for service, and how do we do that in new and innovative and smarter ways? How do we do it about looking at criminal justice reform, and then also the need for the commitment to those that find themselves homeless. We've seen double-digit decreases in family homelessness by partnering with our great civic partners and non-governmental organizations like the Salvation Army and Family Promise and Catholic Charities and so many others. We saw a dramatic decrease in veterans homelessness as we partnered with Goodwill and took on the challenge to end veterans homelessness. We've housed over 200, and it's not just the housing, it's really the full impact of what we provide those. And now we need to really focus on individuals that find themselves homeless and youth. We are seeing huge benefits to this in really the county's partnership and the Housing First locations that we have done, and also now as we look at shelters and the need for having that emergency shelter. Let me just move over there into the middle, and I think they so distinctly go together. In the green, you see the Economic Vitality Initiative. And whether that be, as you see right there, strategic collaboration with our regional partners, and really the key of what brings us together, that things like our own credit rating, that the coordination of our capital investments. This city will see the largest, the Spokane will see the largest capital investment this year, hovering around $200 million that the city has ever seen. Over the 6-year capital plan, an $890 million investment in the city of Spokane's infrastructure under the current tax rate. And of course, because our citizens approved overwhelmingly, over 70%, a 20-year street levy, literally $500 million going into our arterials to be the lifeblood of the vitality of our community. You'll see also their smart use of public lands and public resources. The fact of the matter is the city government owns over 50% of the land within the city. And so we need to make sure that we're using that and making sure that the property that we aren't using is turned back over to the private sector. One of the largest sales of property is the old Central Fleet Center that the city had for years, some 100+ years. As you saw in the video, the new Fleet Center that was built just a couple years ago. Let me, right below that, you see that I think has such a big part of this, and that is the reality that Spokane does have an urban advantage. There is a choice in our region to live in so many different types of areas. And I think that is one of the amazing things of both Spokane County proper and fundamentally Eastern Washington. But truly, Spokane has the urban advantages of the cultural center. It has the urban advantages of the universities that are in our core and a really urban core, and also at the same time the river access and the community access, and what do people want there, and how are we dealing with that, and the early talks of things like sportsplexes to really work county-wide, the benefit and the partnership that we've had for so long with the county and the Public Facilities District, and the investments that are made there that you have highlighted. Again, across the fact of really having a great urban advantage. The final piece, and I'll be more than happy to take questions after that, that is a sustainable infrastructure. Quite frankly, what makes a sustainable infrastructure? One of our defining moments is our linked initiative and our Cleaner River Faster. Of course, right now the river is showing its strength, but as we know that it has been for some years now that unfortunately when we have large rainfalls and ice melts, that the city waste system overflows into the river somewhere in the tune of 50+ million gallons a year. Here, by the end of the year, the likelihood of that happening will be dramatically reduced as we implement the Cleaner River Faster initiative, which is the combined sewer overflow tanks that are going down in our urban core. But we didn't stop there. We looked at how do these enhance, and I think the public will see these enhancements quite literally. If you're in one of our neighborhoods, Underhill Park has a brand new parking lot, but in the downtown core, you will see the enhancements that really will look like recreational extensions of Riverfront Park when they're completed, right by City Hall and just a couple blocks away from here. Also, it's exciting to highlight the STA moving forward initiative and really now work plan because of the city and the county voters voting that in. Of course, as we also look at even the resources that we have, and one that I think we're going to continue to grapple with, but we do have some of the solutions, and that really is city housing options, making sure that we have housing options through the full spectrum of housing, so that those that want to, as your motto says, work, live, and play here, literally have somewhere to live. within the city. And so those are some key areas. But as you see, as we build a safer, healthier, and smarter Spokane, we focus in these 4 strategic areas with a multitude of projects with so much overlap with you, the county. I will finish and just dig deep a little farther in a brochure that was handed out to you very shortly, and it was announced and alluded to by Commissioner French during the State of the County address, and that is really our targeted investment program across the city. If you look at the very back of that brochure, you'll see that we focused in Northeast Spokane in a public development authority, the yard, and really unleashing hundreds of acres of industrial land, building off what the speaker just said before me, building off nearly $1 billion investment coming to this community in the north-south corridor. So how is the city readying itself so that we can take advantage of that major transportation asset? You move down into the core of the city in the university district, and the hundreds of millions of dollars, both public and private, that have been invested in the university district. And it's exciting to hear our partners in higher education with 2 medical schools, a pharmacy school, a nursing school, and so many of those other pieces. And how do we build off of that with recent announcements of building on the south side of the railroad tracks, now with the Gateway Bridge connecting them quite physically. Move in, obviously, into the downtown core and the financial area, and then the partnership with the county of looking at the other public investment of our airport, and how do we build off the airport and the benefit of that area. So it's exciting to look to the months to come to announce that collaboration between the city and county and targeting that sort of investment in and around our airport to build off the public investment in that area in a real way, and then really leverage it for job creation and economic vitality. The final 2 pieces that you also have in front of you, one of the major urban advantages is our public library system. You know, and again, a great partnership, and often as I'm out at community events, the seamless interaction between the Spokane Public Libraries and the county library district. But what is fascinating is to see the huge uptick in double digits of the utilization of our libraries as they really look at the future library service that, yes, it's fundamentally part of the brick and mortar, but it's more importantly getting out into the community, whether that's through technology and our new downloads and the capabilities to do that, or whether it be our new small business options that they have in the downtown library and throughout. And it really is exciting, and that will be in front of keeping the current levy that goes to libraries here in April, and we ask our citizens to look at that. The other one that is in there is a small piece on Proposition 1, which is the emergency system that has been a huge collaborative, not only amongst county government and city government proper, but also our fire districts and the other pieces that use the communication systems that are so vital, that we learned nationally through 9/11, and then also here locally with Ice Storm and Firestorm, that the interoperability of our radios is fundamentally the backbone of the interoperability of our firefighters and our police officers. And frankly, as we deal with an issue like we are right now with the flooding, to have that interoperability gives us that sort of ability to really work smarter. And I ask our citizens to look at that here in this coming election. So with that, it's exciting to be here with you. I am excited about the next few years of working together on some critical issues that are integral, I believe, to both of our strategic plans, and couldn't be better aligned than we've ever seen between our 2 agencies, as we truly do serve the citizens in building a community that is safer, healthier, and smarter. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Any questions that you might have, Commissioner Kearns? Comments?
I don't have any questions, but I just want to thank you very much for this. I was at the big state of the city address a couple weeks ago. Fantastic job, and great job tonight. Thank you.
Well, we give dozens of these out to community groups, and again, I thank you and those that watch your meetings that do. So many of them were linked in so many different ways and working together on major initiatives, whether it be for economic development, whether it be for public safety, or whether it be for the quality of life issues. They're so intertwined, and I think appropriately so. We enjoy an amazing region.
Well, and I will comment that it's been, this last several years have been a breath of fresh air, because I do think that there is a a very palpable cultural change that's going on between our respective agencies, and we are doing a lot more together. And that's a tribute to you and your leadership and the leadership of the City Council, and a willingness to explore how to do things differently so that we can all be better and stuff. So it's a relationship that I very much appreciate and value, and that's a tribute to what's going on both sides of the river and stuff. So thank you.
Well, as we announced the I Am Spokane initiative, I really truly believe you see people and they want to take ownership. The engagement of our citizens is so critical. And now as I see the I Am Spokane t-shirts popping up around town, or whether I see them, it truly is, people love this community, and it's all of us that are Spokane.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that then gets us to our second open public forum, and I do not have anybody signed up. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to provide any testimony on the open public forum? Seeing nobody in the audience that I see jumping out and running to the podium, that completes all the business coming before the council or the commission tonight. And so with that, again, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and your staff. And with that, we are adjourned.